Welcome back, Gunners. Breaking. Aston Villa hit with €22.5 million. Fine. Could financial pressure force Morgan Rogers to Arsenal? Aston Villa have been dealt a significant financial setback after being hit with a reported €22.5 million fine for allegedly breaching UEFA's squad cost ratio regulations. The punishment has sent shockwaves through the club and could have a major impact on their transfer plans this summer. The fine comes at a crucial time. Villa had hoped to strengthen their squad ahead of another demanding campaign, but the unexpected financial burden has forced the club to reassess its strategy. Rather than focusing solely on bringing in new players, attention has now shifted towards balancing the books through player sales. According to reports, Aston Villa are expected to sanction one or more high-profile departures during the transfer window. Several clubs across Europe are closely monitoring the situation, believing Villa may now be more willing to negotiate than they were just a few weeks ago. One player who continues to generate enormous interest is Morgan Rogers. The 23-year-old enjoyed a sensational campaign last season, establishing himself as one of the Premier League's most exciting young attackers. His combination of pace, strength, technical ability, creativity and versatility made him one of Villa's standout performers, attracting admiration from some of Europe's biggest clubs. Among those keeping a close eye on the situation is Arsenal. Mikel Arteta is believed to be a huge admirer of Rogers and sees him as a player capable of adding another dimension to Arsenal's attack. Rogers can operate on either wing as an attacking midfielder or even in a central role, making him an ideal fit for Arteta's fluid tactical system. With Arsenal expected to compete for the Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup and Carabao Cup next season, adding depth without sacrificing quality remains one of the club's biggest priorities. Rogers fits that profile perfectly. His age, Premier League experience and enormous potential make him an attractive long-term investment. Andrea Berta and Arsenal's recruitment team have reportedly monitored Rogers for months. While no agreement has been reached, Villa's financial situation could create an opportunity that previously seemed impossible. However, Aston Villa are unlikely to let one of their brightest stars leave cheaply. Reports suggest they would demand a substantial transfer fee, reflecting Rogers' importance to the team and the length of his contract. Any club interested would likely need to submit a major offer before Villa seriously consider a sale. From Villa's perspective, losing Rogers would be a painful decision. He has become a fan favourite thanks to his energetic performances, ability to create chances and knack for scoring important goals. Manager Unai Emery views him as an important part of the club's long-term project. But football is often shaped by financial realities. If UEFA's sanctions significantly limit Villa's spending power, the club may have little choice but to cash in on one of its most valuable assets to remain compliant with financial regulations. For Arsenal supporters, the news offers fresh hope that a deal could become more realistic. Many fans believe Rogers has the qualities needed to thrive under Arteta and help the Gunners take the final step towards winning major trophies. At this stage, though, there is no official confirmation that Morgan Rogers will leave Aston Villa, and Arsenal have not announced a formal bid. The situation remains one to watch closely as the transfer window develops. Should Aston Villa's financial pressures continue to grow, Morgan Rogers could become one of the biggest transfer stories of the summer. Arsenal, along with other elite clubs, are expected to remain on alert should the opportunity arise. The coming weeks could prove decisive. Will Aston Villa keep one of their brightest talents, or will financial pressure open the door for Arsenal to make their move?
Arsenal think that £65 million could be enough to trigger a sale for Bruno Guimaraes, but the Gunners are yet to make any formal approach. What began as whispers has rapidly developed into one of the most compelling transfer sagas of the summer window. Arsenal's interest in Newcastle United captain Bruno Guimaraes is real, serious, and growing increasingly complicated. It was the Daily Mail who first broke the story of Arsenal's interest in Guimaraes, with David Ornstein later reporting for The Athletic that the Gunners made a verbal offer of around £60 million for the 28-year-old. Newcastle swiftly rejected that opening proposal, but Arsenal didn't walk away. Far from it. Arsenal are active in the transfer market after winning the Premier League, but falling short in the Champions League final, with a centre midfielder and left winger among their top priorities this summer. Guimaraes ticks the central midfield box emphatically. Football 365. Some Arsenal fans feel this is precisely the kind of signing the Gunners need to give their midfield something different. Guimaraes is Premier League proven and arguably has more quality on the ball and more of a goal threat from the middle of the park than Declan Rice and Martin Zubimendi. Both Arsenal and Manchester City seriously considered signing the Brazil international before he even completed his move from Lyon to Newcastle in 2022, and they have continued to monitor his progress ever since. This is not a fleeting interest, it's years in the making. A crucial element of this saga is Guimaraes' own position, and it's telling. Sources have confirmed that Guimaraes has made Newcastle aware he is not currently planning to sign a new contract. The 28-year-old has just 2 years remaining on his existing deal, and while he remains Newcastle's highest-paid player, those close to the situation acknowledge he could earn significantly more elsewhere. Football Transfers revealed that Arsenal's first move for Guimaraes came after the player himself gave them the green light to explore a deal, and that Arsenal never approach a club regarding a potential transfer unless they have spoken to the player involved first. That is a significant detail. This isn't Arsenal fishing around speculatively. Guimaraes has, in effect, invited the approach. Despite the player's apparent desire to leave, Newcastle are digging in hard. The message from Newcastle is unambiguous. Guimaraes is not for sale. Newcastle remain adamant they have no desire to sell one of the club's most influential players and are refusing to place a public valuation on Guimaraes. Privately, there is a belief at the club that any realistic fee would need to comfortably exceed Arsenal's expected proposals. The Magpies are already dealing with growing uncertainty surrounding several senior members of their squad. Guimaraes is among a host of Newcastle players who could follow Anthony Gordon in leaving this summer, with Sandro Tonali, Tino Livramento, and Lewis Hall also linked with exits following the club's failure to qualify for Europe. Losing their captain on top of all that would be a seismic blow to the project Eddie Howe has built on Tyneside. So where do the numbers stand? This is where it gets murky. Arsenal's initial £55 million bid was rejected, but sources confirmed a new £80 million proposal is in the works. Newcastle value the Brazilian at around £100 million, though it is hard to see Arsenal paying such a price. Team Talk reports suggesting Arsenal have already submitted an offer worth less than £60 million have been firmly dismissed by Newcastle sources. Arsenal are now working towards making an offer in the region of £80 million. Whether that will be enough is another matter entirely. Arsenal are set to make a second approach for Newcastle, but despite an improved offer being prepared, the stance from the Magpies is expected to remain the same. There is a pivotal subplot that could determine everything: Sandro Tonali's future. Arsenal's move for Guimaraes has been accelerated in recent days, which could well be an impact from another Newcastle deal this summer. Tottenham continue to be linked with Tonali, who is valued at £100 million. Newcastle will not sell both midfielders in one window. If Tonali ends up staying on Tyneside, then Guimaraes' chances of leaving will increase significantly. Understands Tottenham are preparing a £100 million bid for Tonali and have made significant progress with the player's representatives, with the Italian understood to be open to the move. That has prompted both Arsenal and Manchester City to increasingly focus their attention on Guimaraes. In short, if Spurs land Tonali, the door for Arsenal to get Guimaraes swings open considerably. Not everyone is buying the narrative around this deal. Jamie Carragher has thrown a grenade into proceedings. Carragher has accused Guimaraes of putting a story out about Arsenal's interest, suggesting the player